Welcome to Halloween.
Yes. Yes, welcome to, well, happy Sunday, first of all, and also, happy Halloween.
Should I do it again?
No. I hope that everyone had a fantastic Halloween Eve last night. I'm sure most of the kind of like parties and gatherings and stuff were last night. But today is the day. Today is the actual Halloween.
Today's the day. The sun is shining.
Yes.
If you're familiar with Nemo.
It's very, 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 very exciting, but also very sad at the same time, because that means that this season is coming to an end and we're moving on to other holidays. Today is about Halloween. So yes, we're having a Halloween special again this year, and I would like that to be a thing every single year, to do like the Jack and Ryan Valentine Halloween special.
It's like the Halloween hour, but with us.
So this year it is different from last year, and like I said, that is for like a number of reasons. If you guys are familiar with last year, we had a bunch of our friends tell spooky bin stories with us, and we put them all together in kind of like a Halloween thrift bin special.
Yes, we did.
But of course, it is kind of hard to ask everyone to have like a second story. Like once you've told your story, everyone's heard your story. And we're not all just going to tell the same story over again.
I don't think too many people were going to the bins a whole lot of last year.
No, it just like, it wasn't going to work out to do that again.
We might do something similar.
Maybe at some point,
year.
Maybe with like some different concept, but I hadn't thought of anything for that. So instead, we have what we are calling Tales from Beyond the Bin. Yes. And these are stories that I'm not sure if they're true or false, if they're based on
They are unconfirmed
reality.
reports of happenings and goings-on.
But these are some scary ghost stories for you to enjoy about the bins that are written by me.
Yes.
And read by the two of us in a very spooky setting. Hopefully you guys are excited about that.
Hope you're not in the dark. Turn the lights on.
Yes.
If you have a weak constitution, please leave.
Sit back and relax and enjoy some spooky bin stories.
Spooky. Ooh.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our first spooky tale from beyond the bins. I am going to be sharing with you guys our first scary story for the night, and then Ryan will take over and he will share the second spooky tale from beyond the bins. We're very excited to bring you these stories. It is unknown whether these stories are based off of actual occurrences or if they are just tales. So sit back, relax, get comfortable, and grab some Halloween candy, and let's jump into story number 1. We have our spooky ghost story book here full of spooky and scary bins tales. Our first story is called The 1-Star Rating. Our first story takes place on a crisp fall day on October 2nd. Debbie, a part-time Poshmark seller, had just decorated her house with all of her family's Halloween decor the day before. She was in a very positive mood as she had a few Poshmark packages to pack up and ship out that day. Debbie often shipped a little before lunch, so if she wanted to grab a bite to eat while she was dropping packages off at the post office, she could. The clock chimed for 11 a.m., so she figured it was time to start gathering her couple of items up. As she was headed to her inventory room, she heard a chime come from her phone. She grabbed her phone from her back pocket and saw that it was a Poshmark notification. It was a question from a buyer whose username read, Red Hand Sam. Debbie didn't often notice people's usernames, but this one just seemed a little peculiar. The question, which was left on a pair of boots, read, "When held in your hands, are these very heavy?"
What a weird thing to ask,
Debbie thought to herself. Though since this was an easy question to answer and it involved no measuring or item retrieval, Debbie simply responded,
Not in my opinion.
She put her phone back into her pocket and started to dig out the items that she needed to ship. Went her phone again. Debbie glanced once again at her phone and realized the user had purchased the boots.
Easy enough.
she thought to herself as she added these boots to her pile of outgoing items. About 20 minutes later, Debbie had finished shipping, and she headed to the post office. She then grabbed a bite to eat and headed home. Later that week, on October 5th, Debbie saw that the boots were delivered, though that day she never got a rating. This didn't seem out of the ordinary though, as many people never leave a rating. 2 days later, on October 7th, while Debbie was at work, a notification chimed on her phone. It was the dreaded, "Someone gave you a rating," instead of "Someone gave you a 5-star rating." So Debbie decided to open up the app and see which order had an issue. The rating was from Red Hand Sam, the buyer of the boots. Not only was it not a 5-star rating, but it was only one. Debbie read the review out loud to herself. It was as follows. I don't know if this Poshmark seller thinks this is some kind of pranking app or that scamming people is funny, but I did not receive what I ordered. I ordered a pair of black boots and all I got in my package was a Halloween prop. I wish I could give her 0 stars. Extremely confused, Debbie quickly went to Sam's page and left a comment. She wrote,
Hey there. I am not sure what you received in your package, but I assure you I sent the boots you ordered. Is there any way that you could make a new listing with photos of what you received? I would greatly appreciate that.
About 15 minutes later, Debbie saw she was tagged in a comment. It was from the mysterious Sam again. She opened the app, and what she saw made her nearly drop her phone. It was a listing made by the buyer. The title simply said, "See ... and above the title was a gruesome photo of what appeared to be a severed hand Halloween prop. The prop looked uncomfortably realistic. The skin looked pale, and the fake blood looked wet. This was not a prop that Debbie had ever seen in her house before, and she had just went through all of her family's Halloween decor that last week. There was certainly no way that she shipped that. Was the package tampered with on its way to the buyer? Was the buyer playing a disgusting prank? She exited the Poshmark app feeling quite unsettled by the photo she had just seen. Something about it just seemed realistic and too detailed. Debbie finished up the work email she had been typing and decided she should say something to this Sam individual. She unlocked her phone and went to the Poshmark app. In her notifications, she tapped the comment that she had been tagged in. An error notification popped up. It read, "This listing is no longer available."
Oh, thank goodness.
Debbie said under her breath. She hadn't wanted to see the photo again anyways. She tapped on Sam's username to go leave a comment on his profile again, but another error popped up. This time it read, "This profile is no longer available." Debbie froze. How could this be? Sam had just left her a comment 5 minutes earlier. She went back to her notifications and suddenly couldn't find any from this Red Hand Sam user. She then went into her sales page. The boots order was gone. What could have happened to this user? Had Poshmark deleted their page due to the photo they uploaded? But if so, then where did the boots order go? Debbie would never find out who this person was, or if that photo was actually of a prop. But at the same time, did she really want to?
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for coming. This is story number 2 in our scary, spooky stories from Halloween. This one involves Debbie and an encounter she had at the bins. It was a crisp autumn day in late October, and Debbie was finally going to get a few days off from her accounting job. She had been looking forward to this long weekend for a while because she finally was going to be able to go back to the bins. Debbie hadn't shopped there in quite a while, since it's not only hard for her to find the time, but also the energy. The drive out there was super serene and peaceful. Debbie was getting quite a good feeling about this trip. When she arrived, she grabbed a cart and began to hunt. About an hour later, Debbie had nearly filled her cart. She knew she should be heading out soon, but wanted to wait for at least a couple more rotations. So she continued making her way from bin to bin. Suddenly, Debbie stopped in her tracks. There was a very strong scent of mothballs in the air. This is a pretty frequent nostril guest at the bins, but this time it was much stronger. As Debbie continued to slowly walk down the aisle she was in, the scent grew stronger. Ahead of her, about 2 bins down, she saw a heaping bin full of what looked to be old coats. One looked suede, one white leather, and another was a funky red fur. Approaching the bin, the scent still grew, and it seemed Debbie had found the culprit.
None of these coats are worth this reeking stink.
Debbie thought to herself as she decided to pass the bin up. She then swiftly headed in the other direction. Luckily, the foul bin was getting taken away in the next rotation. About 30 minutes later, it was time for another rotation. Debbie eagerly waited with the other shoppers for the new row to arrive. As the bins were being rolled out, the same foul mothball scent rolled along with them. Those that had been waiting near her dispersed, and Debbie was the lucky lady standing right in front of where this musty cart landed. Right away, Debbie saw the same coats from before. It's almost as if the bin got mixed up in the back and rolled back out to the floor again. She held back a gag as she started to head away, but suddenly it stopped in her tracks. Tucked under a mixture of the old coats, Debbie had spotted not one, but two Burberry labels surrounded by Novacek. They were quite buried, but could she really pass on them just to avoid suffocation? Debbie decided to take the risk and plunged her hand deep into the atrocious bin. As her grasp closed on the two Novacek beauties, Debbie felt a scurry run across her hand. She screeched and jumped back in surprise. Quite rattled, Debbie stood there and wondered, what could it have been? She couldn't see anything moving and wondered if she had just imagined it, as maybe the vile fumes were making her lightheaded. The two Burberry pieces were still nestled in the bin, and she could now make out that they were both check-lined trench coats. Modern check-lined trench coats. Being the brave and strong woman that she was, she shot her hand into the bin one last time and clenched the coats. But this time, Debbie didn't feel the scurry of anything. She felt a grip. There was a sudden clench around her wrist, followed by a sudden and slight tug. Mortified, she jerked her hand out screaming and ran a few bins down. An employee of the bins hurried over to help her and see what happened.
Something just grabbed me,
Debbie exclaimed, pointing at the bin.
Grabbed you?
Asked the employee.
I'm not sure what you mean.
First something brushed up on me, and then there was a pull.
Debbie explained.
Oh, I'm sorry, ma'am. Unfortunately, we do get mice from time to time,
Said the employee.
I'll have the team take the bin back to our chute.
He said as he headed to the back room. Not wanting to sound like she was losing it, Debbie silently watched him walk away. The Goodwill employees proceeded to haul the heaping coat bin back to the room. As they did this, Debbie looked down at her hand, going completely around her wrist, an obvious dark red mark. It almost had the look of a rash. She stood there examining it for a while, still feeling extremely shook up. The same employee returns from the back a few minutes later with a quite puzzled look on his face.
So we emptied the bin one piece of clothing at a time, and there wasn't a single mouse in the whole thing. Maybe it was that red fur coat that felt like an animal?
He said.
But the pulling.
She whispered under her breath. Debbie left the bins that day extremely confused and frightened. The pull to her wrist was very apparent and stronger than any mouse or even small animal could have done. The grip around her wrist was cold and firm. It felt like it had fingers and joints, like a person. The red mark around her wrist lasted for nearly 5 days. To this day, Debbie still has not gone back to the bins. The mystery of what lies beneath the heaps of clothes is one she doesn't wish to solve.
Oh,
I have a goosebump. That was so scary.
Wasn't that? Oh my gosh.
Poor Debbie, and she was never heard from again.
No, I've
we're just
never
kidding. She's in the other room.
I've never seen her since.
We've seen her ghost in the other room.
Yeah.
Haunting,
Yeah,
sweater
she
saving.
still haunts these halls, but
Conjure her up by just saying,
you say either Coca-Cola or Christmas. And Debbie
Hallmark
makes
movie,
it.
and she goes, ooh.
I hope that you guys enjoyed those possibly true, terrifying tales from beyond the bin. I know it's called Tales from Beyond the Bin, and one of them really didn't have anything to do with the bins, but that's just the name of them. In the future years, who knows, maybe there'll be some more Tales from Beyond the Bin. That
I think there will
spooky
be.
ghost book is just filled with scary
Did you see that book? That
stories.
thing was huge.
Yeah. There's many more.
A big old book.
Let us know if you guys enjoyed our little Halloween special for the year.
I had a
We
great time.
definitely had a great time
so fun.
filming it, and I hope you guys enjoyed having a bonus video this week. Back to regular scheduled programming after this. Unfortunately, we are kind of like, this is kind of the period on the like fall stuff. Unfortunately, though fall is not over, which is fantastic.
We gotta think about that winter trend report.
Yeah, that'll
we
be
gotta
coming.
think about when that's gonna come out.
That'll be coming at some point. Not yet, but that'll be coming. And then we will be hopping into like the regular like bins hauls and stuff. But anyways, I hope you guys are having a fantastic Halloween. Let us know in the comments again if you liked our stories, which one you preferred. And let us know, please, what are you guys doing for the holiday? Do you celebrate Halloween? Do you hand out candy? Do you not do anything? Do you just like have some wine and some candy at home alone. Let us know what you're doing tonight, and we will see you guys on Tuesday.
For Ben's Hall, maybe?
I think so.
Something.
But
it'll be fun.
Yeah. Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween.